Hey there, all you happy random people out there. It's your Uncle Midnight, and I am finally ready to do a build. Well, actually, it's an upgrade. What you're seeing right here is my wife's computer. So she inherited my old 2015 build, which was an older platform to be sure. It's rocking an AMD A1060-100K with 16 gigs of DDR3 and a GTX 970. Well, the problem is that the case that this was in, she rather enjoyed, because it had this beautiful blue light, and it was, the nice color scheme that she liked. And sadly, when the case got destroyed through an unfortunate accident, I ended up having to salvage what I could and lumped everything into this case, which is not a bad case for its age, but it hasn't aged well. This is a Raid Max Smilodon case, which has had some pieces taken out of it, like there was a GPU brace in here that didn't quite fit. And to be honest, this thing is badly in need of an upgrade. We're going to be salvaging very little out of this, and we're going to be starting pretty much a brand new build. So what's all included in this build? Well, stick around, and I'll tell you all about it. Okay, so we're going to be building primarily a newer system. So what can we possibly take out of this system that would still be good in a newer one? Well, we're only keeping really two things out of this. Well, actually three. The power supply is still good. The graphics card is still good. The GTX 970, I have been told, is kind of sort of in the ballpark of a GTX 1060, which she plays a lot of casual games, so it's going to run just fine. And then there's a mechanical hard drive. It's got 1 terabyte mechanical hard drive in here. That'll do just fine for her long-term storage, but it only has a 120 gig SSD. Now, granted, some of you are probably going to say, well, 120 gigs is just fine for your operating system and whatnot, but, Windows 10 tends to use up memory. It tends to use up resources. And so I just think that it needs something a little bit more roomy to put into it. So we're going to take those few select pieces out here, and we're going to put them into primarily, a new to her build. I got some pieces brand new, especially for her build, because it's going to have some nice RGB in it. It's going to be able to be bathed in light. So let's get rid of this case, and let's show you what's going to be in the new system. And alakazam, we're back. I've finished taking everything that I thought was going to be of use out of the old system, and I brought out the parts for the new build. So what exactly is going into this whole system? Well, you may recognize the platform. This is the Ryzen 5 1600X on the ASRock X370 Taichi board. And I ran this board all throughout last year as soon as I got put together, and it served me very, very well. I have absolutely no complaints about it. However, when I thought about upgrading my wife's system to something a little bit better, and I was planning on doing an upgrade anyway, it's like, let's move the platform over. However, there's a small change. So rather than using the Dominator Platinum RAM that's on here, I decided to go and put some RGB in it. This is a 16 gig kit of Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. This is their 3200 megahertz kit, 16 gigs on 2 DIMMs with beautiful RGB accents across the top. I think it's going to go very well with that motherboard. The other thing that we're putting in here, I'm leaving the 970 Evo on there as a boot drive. It's already good to go. No fuss, no fuss. It'll run just fine. So on top of that, I'm going to give her a gaming drive. So I decided to go with the Crucial MX500 1 terabyte SSD, and she'll be able to run all her games on this, run it very well, it'll be nice and snappy, it'll work great. We're also saving the Western Digital Blue 1 terabyte hard drive from her old system that's going to store all the raw data. The other thing that we're holding aside, well, one of the other two things, I still have the OCZ power supply that I'm going to be using. That's a 700 watt power supply. It's non-modular. However, we're going to be outfitting it with some of these. These are CableMod Pro custom extensions. Well, not custom, they're a regular kit, a black and white, but it's the Pro version, which has the pre-installed combs for the 24-pin cable. So that way you'll have that nice swoopy bend and it'll look really, really awesome in that system. We're keeping a hold of the EVGA 970 for the win. It's a great card, 3.5 gigabytes, because we know it's not truly 4, but it'll run perfectly well. What are we going to be putting us all in? Well, we're going to be putting this in the CoolerMaster H500. This is a case that was $105, but I got it on sale for about 90 bucks. This is a great case. It's a budget oriented and it'll do everything that we want. Plus it has those gorgeous 200mm RGB fans in the front and a full tempered glass side panel. And I'm going to be doing something a little bit special with this one, thanks to a part that a watcher of ours, that a good friend of mine, sent, I think last year or the year before, but you'll have to watch throughout the build to see what that is, because there's a reason why I picked this particular case. Now, cooling the 1600X, I wanted to give her some more RGB. So I decided to step up to the Master Liquid ML240R RGB. This will work with the ASRock Polychrome RGB that ASRock uses, so that way the RGB can be run by the motherboard, which is awesome. So that's pretty much it. These are all the parts. We're going to put all these together. This is going to make one gorgeous build. So, without further ado, here is the build montage that you've been waiting for. The build's all complete, everything's all in there, and it looks really darn good, I must say. For a case that you can get for around $100, it looks really quite stylish. The thumb screws, well, the screws on the side of the case, you can turn pretty much with your hands if you have a decent grip, or just get a regular, good slot screwdriver and loosen them up, and then you're good to go. The only other thing that I noticed was that the PSU shroud looked a little off when I first got it, but it just wasn't slotted in right. So once I took the back thumb screw out and reoriented, it was fine. So no problems there. There's enough Z-depths on the back that you can route your cables with no problems, so it's not a challenge there. In fact, there's enough space in there to where you can use, if you happen to have one, a non-modular power supply with cable extensions and still have enough room to route your cables in a pretty decent fashion. Now granted, a modular power supply would be more appropriate, especially in this day and age, because that way you only plug in the cables that you actually need, or just go the full route and just get custom cables for your power supply, so that way you don't even have to worry about extensions. The vertical graphics card was a nice addition to this case because I was actually able to use it. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to Sir Dickens, who sent me the vertical graphics card probably a year or two ago when I was originally planning on modding this into a case. But when I saw the H500 series come out, it's like, okay, there's no braces between the PCI expansion covers, so why don't I just wait and get one of those and then take all the 7 PCI things out and slot that in, and it slots in just fine, no problems. So I'm assuming you can still get the CoolerMaster version of that. If you're using a different case, I would highly recommend getting the Cable Mod vertical PCI Express vertical graphics card mount. That way you don't have to worry about doing any kind of modding or anything like that, unless you really want to. In which case, by all means, go for it. There are plenty of tutorials online on how to do that. You can mod your case to the nines. But I just never got around to it. So I was thankful that these cases came with that opening in the back. So once you took all those out, it was nice and open. You just slot it in, and it fits perfectly. No issues. For those of you who were watching and noticed that the graphics card the fans were kind of wiggling a little bit. Apparently that's normal with the 900 series from everything I've read online, because everything's hooked up right. There's no problems with it. The graphics run fine. I mean, there's no issues at all. So I guess that was just a hidden feature of the 900 series maybe. But it'll run all of the games that she wants to play at 1080p with no issues. So there's no problems there. So is the case worth it? I would say it is, because if you're air cooling, it's a breeze. If you're liquid cooling, plan your cabling accordingly. You won't have any problems with it. It'll work with the vertical GPU mount, whether you get one from CoolerMaster or Cable Mod or what have you. Runs just fine, so no issues with that whatsoever. So yeah, I would definitely recommend picking up this case if you don't want to spend the $150 to $200 for one of the higher series H500 models. The liquid cooler itself, it plugs in just beautifully. Now, it works best if you have an addressable RGB capable motherboard, which this one was not, so I had to use the breakout boxes that came with the liquid cooler, as well as the fans on the front of the case. But I was able to get everything all synced up, and it looks just fine. It looks really gorgeous. In fact, I'll show you some B-roll right here at the end, and I must say, it's a darn nice looking build. The one change that you won't see in these B-roll shots is I did end up changing the coloring on the RAM. It was doing this kind of beautiful waterfall type effect, but she found it too distracting, so I just set it to a nice breathing motion, and she likes it just fine. So it looks really, really nice. So anyway, that's the beauty build. That's the upgrade. She's now rocking the 6-core 12-thread processor with a GTX 970. She's going to be good for quite some time. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like this kind of build video, go ahead and remember to smack that like button over there and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought of it. If you have not already and you want to subscribe to the channel for more random content, be sure to smack that subscribe button on the way out. Don't let it know it hit it on as you click on out of here. Blah, 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 blah. Alrighty. I'm going to get on out of here. Anyway, I hope you guys have an awesome day. And as always, live life a little randomly each day, and we will catch you guys in the next video. Have an awesome day.